In today's edition of Airborne, the David Riggs fighter combat scam takes a dangerous new turn. NBAA 2012 is a confirmed success, and Hawker announces important South American orders. I'm Ashley Hale. Welcome to Airborne on Aero-TV. Well, ANN has learned that the fake fighter combat adventures offered by aviation scam artist David Riggs have taken a new and dangerous turn. You'll recall from earlier reports that Riggs was offering warbird adventure flights, promising Top Gun-like experiences at reduced prices through a variety of online daily deal sites. Riggs promised rides in either an Extra 300 or an SF-260 Marquetti aircraft, to which, to the best of our knowledge and research, he has no documented access. Now, ANN has learned that Riggs and associates have been reported as attempting to actually conduct some of the warbird adventure rides they sold without FAA approval, knowledge, or licensing, and not even in the same aircraft. Instead, we've received a number of reports corroborating that they're using experimental Lancer amateur-built aircraft for these commercial operations. That's, of course, illegal and potentially dangerous. Recent operations in Livermore, California were reported by airport staff. Those flights came to a stop when one of the aircraft broke, and further flights were canceled from that location. The FAA is now aware of this development, and an investigator is reportedly looking into it. However, flights are reportedly still being conducted throughout California and may have been conducted as well in Arizona. If you should witness such an operation, we urge you to contact the FAA hotline to aid in their investigation. Neither Superstorm Sandy or a campaign visit by President Obama could derail the NBAA's 65th annual meeting and convention, which association president and CEO Ed Bolen termed a very good show. Tom Patton reports.
The show reportedly closed with 25,150 people in attendance. That's a number comparable to the final attendee total of 26,077 for the 2011 convention, and an increase over the final attendee total of 24,206 for the 2010 event. The number of exhibitors at the Orange County Convention Center was 1,073. Booth spaces totaled 4,361, an increase over last year's booth space total. A total of 105 aircraft were shown on 2 separate static displays, and an additional 4 aircraft were shown inside the convention center. Acting FAA Administrator Michael Huerta was scheduled to attend the conference, but he was detained in Washington by incidents associated with Superstorm Sandy. Attendees heard from House Transportation Committee Chair John Mica, Kansas Senator Jerry Moran, and political analysts James Carville and Mary Madeline during the general sessions. In actual airplane news, Cessna announced during the show that they would be introducing a new version of the Citation Sovereign, and Honda indicated that the Honda Jet was on track to start production next year. President Obama visited Orlando on Monday, the day before the show officially opened, but his visit was cut short due to the storm in the Northeast. That freed up the airspace around Orlando for arriving convention attendees. For Airborne, I'm Tom Patton.
Well, nothing helps a company working its way out of bankruptcy more than a positive order book. With that in mind, Hawker Beechcraft Corporation announced recently that it has signed orders for 9 new Beechcraft products, with a total value of more than $34 million. The orders, which include 1 King Air 350i, 2 King Air 250s, 2 King Air C90 GTXs, and 4 Baron G58s, were placed by 4 Beechcraft distributors throughout South and Central America. Deliveries will begin in the second quarter of 2013 and will continue through the end of the year. A New Mexico jury has awarded a Florida man almost $4 million for his injuries suffered in a freak accident at the 2009 Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. ANN's Glen Moyer has details.
Ashley, it took an Albuquerque jury 3 days of deliberations to award Thomas Hurd $3.86 million for injuries he received when he was accidentally bounced out of a balloon basket and fell 15 feet to the ground. The accident occurred on what was supposed to be a day of exciting hot air balloon competition. Hurd was flying with pilot Timberly Eklund when her balloon struck the top rail of a tent on its approach into the competition zone, tossing him overboard. He suffered injuries including a crushed pelvis and broken back that have since required multiple surgeries. Eklund admitted guilt for allowing the balloon to descend to an altitude of 15 feet when she should have been at Fiesta's required minimum altitude of 75 feet or above. Likewise, Hurd admitted he had signed a liability release, clearing Eklund from any claims of negligence. However, that document did not relieve the pilot from charges of recklessness, nor did it provide any relief for the balloon fiesta. In its decision, the jury found that Eklund did act recklessly and assigned her 60% of the liability for the accident. They also said the balloon fiesta was negligent in placing the tent too close to the competition field and assigned the event 30% of the liability. Hurd was found to be 10% responsible for his own injuries. Following the verdict, Eklund's attorneys said she is so distraught about the accident, it's doubtful she'll ever fly a balloon again. As for Balloon Fiesta, they feel the accident was purely pilot error and plan to appeal. For Airborne and Aero-News Network, I'm Glen Moyer.
You're watching Airborne. More in a moment.
Since the early days of powered flight, pilots have struggled with landing in crosswinds and learning proper crosswind landing techniques. Even today, most crosswind landing skills are learned through trial and error, sometimes with disastrous results. Believe it or not, the most common contributing factor in weather-related accidents each year is crosswinds. The second most common factor is wind gusts. In fact, crosswinds and wind gusts cause more landing accidents than fog, thunderstorms, and icing combined. That's where the Redbird X-Wind SE comes in. It teaches pilots the proper techniques to meet and beat these top two causes of weather-related landing accidents. By placing pilots in gusty crosswind conditions for extended periods of time, the X-Wind SE gives instructors all the time they need to teach the pilot the proper techniques for landing in challenging crosswind conditions. For more information on Redbird flight simulations, the Redbird X-Wind SE, and Redbird's entire line of flight training devices, visit www.redbirdflightsimulations.com.
Welcome back. If you'd like to suggest a story for Airborne, Aero-TV, our website, or podcast, drop us an email to news-spy@aero-news.net. Well, it's not exactly the Hatfields and McCoys, but there's a feud brewing between the owner of the Leland Fly Fishing Ranch and pilots who use California's Sonoma Valley Airport, because ranch owner Josh Frazier has erected a solid log fence across the airport's runway safety overrun area. Sonoma pilot David Mays has placed a petition on the website change.org in an effort to build support for the removal of the fence. The petition reads in part, quote, Josh Frazier, Leland Fly Fishing Ranch, with reckless disregard for public safety, egregiously erected a solid log fence obstacle across 65-year-old Sonoma Valley Airport's runway 1735 safety overrun. The California Department of Transportation, Division of Aeronautics, wrote a letter in July 2012 pointing out the dangers, but Leland would rather argue through lawyers if in fact the fence poses a danger. They want the public to be put at risk while they challenge DOT if a solid log fence will maim or kill a person should an aircraft roll out just a little too far. Please tell these aggressors public safety first. Take down the fence to nowhere now, end quote. The airport is privately owned and accepts no federal money, but is open for public use. It's frequently used by the county sheriff helicopter, the California Highway Patrol aircraft, and Reach Life Flight. The petition has more than 600 signatures. Building and flying model aircraft is a pursuit enjoyed by thousands, both young and old. Unfortunately, for a 27-year-old Massachusetts man, his modeling experience has netted him a 17-year prison sentence. Resway Firdaus pled guilty in July to charges of attempting to provide material support to terrorists and attempting to damage federal buildings with explosives. He had planned to use a model airplane to deliver his aerial bombs and thereby damage either the U.S. Capitol or the Pentagon. Those familiar with the plot and model airplanes have said that it would have been virtually impossible to deliver enough explosives using a model plane to substantially damage either one of those buildings. Federal agents posing as Al-Qaeda delivered weapons such as grenades, machine guns, and plastic explosives to Firdaus before arresting him. CBS News reports both the prosecution and the defense agreed to the 17-year sentence. Innovative Solutions and Support is taking next-gen beyond mere air traffic control and bringing it into the aircraft with the introduction of their next-gen Cockpit IP2 flight deck. The system is optimized for business and GA aircraft and supports dual flight management systems, electronic charts, satellite weather, synthetic vision, integrated TAWS, and enhanced vision. And it's been developed from the experience gained on commercial air transport and OEM programs. The system also includes an integrated electronic flight bag, and the IS&S developed integrated multifunction standby unit is also incorporated in the Cockpit IP2 platform. The Cockpit IP2 has a 60% larger display area and more display pixels than latest generation aircraft, and is fully compliant with next-gen requirements for RNP and ADS-B. IS&S President Shahram Askarpour says simply, the Cockpit IP2 flight deck is one of the most advanced cockpits available on any aircraft. Well, it's Tuesday, and that means it's time for our Aero video of the week. Today our video is all about technology. A 6.5-minute roadshow from Avianica Airlines in Brazil that features cockpit views from the Airbus 320, 319, and 318, captured by the GoPro Hero 2 and Sony HX9V HD video cameras. We hope you enjoy the ride. To look for yourself, simply search YouTube for Bring It On. Finally, today on Airborne, the movie Flight, which is loosely based on actual events, opened in theaters nationwide this past weekend. The film has some harrowing, even if computer-generated scenes of an airliner that at one point is flying upside down. While the plane crash lands and most everyone on board survives, the pilot is found to have alcohol and drugs in his system, and from there the plot thickens. In a news release timed to coordinate with the opening of the movie, the Airline Pilots Association International says that viewers should remember it's only a movie. The union news release says in part, "We all enjoy being entertained, but a thrilling tale should not be mistaken for the true story of extraordinary safety and professionalism among airline pilots. Hollywood dramas can make riveting entertainment, and a compelling character study may sell tickets. But fiction on a movie screen doesn't represent a profession in the real world." End quote. The point is well taken, but it may be much ado about nothing, as the LA Times reports Flight opened strong this weekend with $25 million in ticket sales. Still, that's less than its $31 million production cost, and only half the sales of the weekend's top-grossing movie, the family-oriented video game drama Wreck-It Ralph. Well, that's our program for Tuesday, November 6th, and if you haven't already, get out there and vote. Get comprehensive real-time 24/7 coverage of the latest aviation and aerospace stories anytime at Aero-News.net. And we're back on our regular twice-weekly schedule, so remember to join us again this Friday. I'm Ashley Hale. Thanks for watching.